Before I get into my perfect offseason plan for the Las Vegas Raiders, you got to hit that subscribe button for free videos every single day in 2025. I promise this. I promise that you will get one free video every single day here on the Raiders Report in 2025. If that's not commitment to excellence, then I don't know what to tell you. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, let's get into my perfect offseason plan to get this team back on track. Now, obviously, you could do a lot of different things. You could do probably 100 different things to get this team back on track. But I wanted to make it a little bit simpler. So what you're going to see coming up here on today's episode of the Raiders Report is a 10-step plan that I would do to help get the Las Vegas Raiders back on track. Some might call it the perfect offseason. I would just say it's a good offseason, man. Let's go to number one. You got to move on from Antonio Pierce, and you got to move on from this offensive staff. Based on some of the reports that I've heard, I don't even know if Patrick Graham is going to be back next season. But what I do know is this. You got to move on from AP. Do I think AP got the short hand of the stick? Yes, I do. But I also don't think that he did a good job being a CEO type of head coach. So for that reason, you got to try to move on. I would try to keep Patrick Graham in this defensive staff because I do think it's actually one of the better units in the National Football League. Also, you were going to keep Tom Telesco because Tom Telesco is somebody that Mark Davis trusts, that Tom Brady trusts as well, and they're going to try to figure out what they need to do at the quarterback position. So really look for Brady, really look for Tom Telesco to figure out what they need to do. Let's go to number two. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. To me, though, I'm just going to put this in here because I'm just convinced that Mike Vrabel is going to be the Raiders head coach. Like, sure, I could say, hire Ben Johnson. Here's the problem. Ben Johnson ain't coming to a football team that's got the number 8 overall pick. If you want a good head coach, the best head coach you're going to get with the Raiders' current situation, his name is Mike Vrabel. This is the guy Tom Brady wants, and I know some people are going, Mitch, he just got fired. I know he just got fired. He also just won Coach of the Year in 2021. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ as a player, and I think what you're going to get is a better version, honestly, kind of what Antonio Pierce is. A guy who at least showed you he can be a CEO head coach. A dude that's going to be able to come in and demand respect, and he's going to get that respect from being a player, from being a head coach, from being somebody that has won a lot in the past. But he's also going to be the person because he's willing to take a back seat to Tom Brady, which is something I reported about a month and a half ago, which is very important for whoever the new head coach is going to be for the Raiders. It's going to be Mike Vrabel, unless he says, no, I don't want that job. So this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show because there's a lot of ideas that you guys could throw out. And if you want to be an overachiever and give me 10 ideas, 5 ideas, believe me or not, I would really appreciate it. So what I want you to do is at least name one thing the Raiders must do this offseason after you get hit with this YouTube ad break. One thing that they definitely need to do this offseason is hire a creative OC. Who could have seen that the Raiders' offense was going to be terrible with Luke Getsy, Gardner Minshew, and Aiden O'Connell? Now, Aiden's earned my respect here a little bit, and Scott Turner's been better. But you can have the greatest quarterback of all time. If you're going to throw out a guy like Luke Getsy there, I'm sorry. You're setting yourself up to fail. I'll say this. This has been the list of names that I'll just continuously throw out there of the best OC candidates for the Raiders in 2025. I'll also say it really depends on who you're going to potentially target at quarterback, who you're going to target in free agency, who you're going to target in the draft. And with all of that being said, if the Raiders end up hiring Mike Vrabel, I'm going to give you 3 names of maybe not names that I would go out and want to hire, but 3 names of just keep in the back of your mind. First one is Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly right now is the OC at Ohio State. Mike Vrabel has a lot of connections at Ohio State, and the Raiders have interviewed Chip Kelly to be a head coach before. The Raiders last offseason were looking for a offensive coordinator that has head coaching experience. Chip Kelly is a huge sleeper to be the next Raiders OC if Mike Vrabel's the head coach. Shannon Dawson, if you're targeting Cam Ward, guess what? I'm going to try to poach Shannon Dawson from the U and bring him on here over to Las Vegas. Todd Downing. This is going to be another maybe unpopular one. Quarterback coach right now for the Jets, also pass game coordinator, was with the Raiders, I want to say, as their OC back in 2017. Did not do a good job. So why am I bringing up his name? Todd Downing was with the Tennessee Titans, very good friends with Mike Vrabel in 2021 when Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year. If you want an OC candidates, These are three sneaky, sneaky names. Let's go to number 4 here for the Raiders 2025 plan. You got to re-sign some key players. And unfortunately for the Silver and Black, you're not going to be able to re-sign everybody that you want to be able to do it. And you got a lot of names, right? Like, we got Malcolm Kuntz, Robert Spillane, Nate Hobbs, Tre'von Moehrig. I mean, tons and tons of names that you could potentially re-sign. I'm going to tell you, out of some of the players that I just mentioned, which guys I am going to try to bring back. Speaking of bringing back, I don't always bounce back the way that I used to after a night of drinking. That is until I found our sponsor, Z-Biotics. Now, I'll tell you this. I love Z-Biotics, and we got to be able to face the facts. We're not always going to bounce back like we used to. And pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Whether you're talking about, Thanksgiving feasts or New Year's celebrations, this holiday season is packed with all sorts of types of events. But don't let the festivities leave you feeling less than merry this brand new year. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic can help you savor the night and seize the next day. So stay in the loop and go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use Chat Sports at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guaranteed, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring the Raiders Report and for all the good times. So here are the top players that if I'm the Raiders, I'm trying to bring back. Would I want to bring back more? Yes, but you also have to consider everything else that if you're this team that you need to do between re-signing, extensions, hiring, rehiring, draft. There's a lot of other things. So to me, I said, all right, I'm only going to bring back 3. First guy I'm going to bring back is Robert Spillane. He wears your green dot. He's a captain on this team. And if you want to make Max Crosby happy, Robert Spillane's the dude to bring back. Tre'von Moehrig, only 25 years old. Marcus Epps was another free agent, though he's coming off a massive injury. He's 29. I would like to bring back Tre'von Moehrig. And then I'm going to go Adam Butler at defensive tackle. This is one of the most underappreciated players at the DT position. With Wilkins going down with an injury, Tyree Wilson's been playing a lot better. But I think if we could bring back Adam Butler on a decent contract, it's something that we should consider. Other players that you could consider as well. Malcolm Kuntz. I would at least offer him maybe like $9 to $10 million and see if he takes it, because I think that that's a little bit of a low ball offer, but he is coming off a major injury, and I can't blame him for wanting to test the market. I also can't blame the Raiders for trying to lowball him coming off the year that he had in 2023 and the year he didn't have in 2024. Another option is Nate Hobbs. And if you could guarantee me that Nate Hobbs is going to play 15-plus games, I'd re-sign him in a heartbeat. But the problem with Hobbs is he can't stay healthy, and he has battled some sort of injury every single year since he's been drafted all the way back in 2019. He is a Swiss Army knife of a player. But to me, there's other players that I think are better at his position this offseason that you could potentially consider signing in free agency. Let's go to number 5 here on my 10-step plan. You got to extend key players. There is one player that the Raiders gotta figure out what to do with this offseason, and his name is Max Crosby. I'm going to put out a video a little bit later in the week illustrating that the Raiders need to make sure that Crosby's happy, or else there is a possibility that he could get traded this offseason. But to me, you got to get ready to give him a lot of money, and probably it's going to be in the $35 million per year range, which would make him the highest paid defensive end in the NFL. But that's what Max wants. Number 2 is Colton Miller. He's got no money guaranteed left on his contract. Neither is Max Crosby. Jacoby Myers, another player. No money guaranteed on that contract. And I think when you go through the year that they have, these are conversations that need to be had. And then also throw this one out there to A.J. Cole, because that's another player. I think he's the best punter in the NFL. Punter isn't that high of a priority, but $0 million guaranteed left on his deal. Let's go to number 6 here. Got to get rid of Gardner Minshew. I was going to put trim the fat, but then I realized, Gardner Minshew's not all that fat. You got to get rid of Minshew in any way possible. First thing you try to do is you try to trade him. If you trade him, the new team's going to take on $11.8 million. If you're the Raiders, you can see right here how much money you're going to eat in dead money and how much money you're going to save. I'll be real. I don't think there's any team under the sun that's going to trade for Gardner Minshew and take on $11.8 million. I would give him up for a 7th-round pick. So what does that mean? You're probably going to have to end up cutting him. If I was the Silver and Black, I would do this right away, and I would designate him as a post-June 1st cut candidate. Very similar to what the Raiders did last season with Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, you're going to eat 4.6, but you're going to save 9.3. Gardner's going to have the ability to go sign wherever he wants, but you're technically not going to get that 9.3 until after June 1st. So you use that 9.3 to make sure a lot of your rookies after this year's draft class are settled. So you already know how much money you have during free agency. That 9.3 is only supposed to help after the draft. Let's go to number 7 here. For the love of God, can we just move JPJ to center? I know that Andre James has been playing these last final games and you're trying to make the best overall offensive line. But you cannot make an argument to me that proves that having Jackson Powers-Johnson at center is a worse idea than having Andre James at center. JPJ is already a much better center and is also the type of center that I think that the Raiders want to have. So if I'm this offseason, I'm going, all right, we got Andre James. What exactly are we supposed to do with Andre? Maybe you move on from him. I don't know if you can cut him because you're just going to eat way too much money. Could be a player to potentially trade, but you got to start planning right now. As soon as the offseason starts, Jackson Powers-Johnson is our center. Let's go to number 8. I got sign these 4 free agents. Yes, the Raiders are going to have a lot of money, but because of the deals that you're going to have to do in terms of re-signing certain players, the extensions that you're going to have to give, the Crosby extension is going to be a big one. You're going to have to sign a handful of free agents, but to me, you have $108 million, right? You have the second most money in salary cap space, and you can maneuver contracts. You can make things work. I'm going to sign these 4 free agents. The first guy I'm going to sign is Justin Fields. And I shouldn't say the first. One of the first guys that I'm going to sign is Justin Fields. You could probably get him at about $10 million, 1-year type of rental. Let him and Aiden O'Connell be the quarterback. And if you can get a better guy in the draft, then you look at that route. But for Justin Fields, Ohio State guy, got connections to Mike Vrabel. Also, an athletic dude, looked a lot better in Pittsburgh. Maybe it was a Luke Getsy problem. I think it was a Luke Getsy problem. I'd give Justin Fields another shot. Trey Smith, probably the top offensive guard. Right now, you could probably put him at right guard. You could kick Dylan Parham over to left guard. And if you could take him away from Kansas City, 2 birds, 1 stone. Byron Murphy Jr., he's been a really reliable inside slot corner. This is my Nate Hobbs replacement. And I think, yes, even though Murphy is a little bit older, he's much better of a player and he's able to stay healthy. And because of I want a little bit of versatility and I need a Nate Hobbs replacement, Byron Murphy is a name to keep in mind. And then I'm going to keep building this secondary. I know Javon Holland is a little bit more of a free safety, and so is Tre'von Moehrig. But Moehrig can play in the box, and Moehrig can do a lot of different things. Javon Holland also has a lot of coaching connections with our current coaching staff. We'll see how much that changes. But those are the 4 players that I'm signing. Number 9 here, trade players to stock draft picks. If I believe that the Raiders could try to trade up to go get a quarterback or a team that's going to be aggressive in the draft, trying to trade up a little bit, for a team that's got 3 6th-round picks, 1 7 and a 5th, if I was the Silver and Black, I would try to even stockpile even more. If you want to give me a 6th-rounder for Andre James, F it. Let's ride. Let's rock and roll. Jack Jones has been bad without Antonio Pierce. Every place he's been, high school, college, NFL, do you maybe trade Jack Jones for a 6th-round pick? To me, all I'm trying to do is accumulate as many draft picks as humanly possible. That way, if I need to, I am ready to go to trade up into the 2025 NFL draft and try to go get a quarterback. Because here's my final plan. I'm either going to go best player available or I'm going to trade up for a quarterback. The more and more I sit back and I think, what should the Raiders do before the draft? If you go to the draft again with only Aiden O'Connell, and again, you had Gardner Minshew last season, but if you go into the draft with only Aiden, NFL teams are going to go, all right, your asking price is going to be a lot higher, and I don't want you to overpay. But if you go into the draft with Aiden O'Connell, Justin Fields, that at least gives you the ability to go, if one of these QBs fall to me, I can go up and I can try to get them. And I'm saying in your options for round 1, Shador's option 1, Cam's option 2. That's for the Raiders. If it was up to me, I'd try to go get Cam Ward over Shador. Now, yes, you could potentially maybe get a Jalen Milroe late in round 2. Maybe you could look at a Dylan Gabriel late round 3, early round 4. There's other options to do it. But to me, the plan that I have put in place is best player available or you try to trade up and go get your quarterback. So here is my Raiders 2025 plan to get this team back on track. Fire Antonio Pierce in the offensive staff. Try to keep Patrick Graham in the defensive staff. Go out, you hire Mike Vrabel, and you got to bring in a creative OC. I don't need another Luke Getsy. Re-sign some key players like a Robert Spillane, like a Tre'von Moehrig, like an Adam Butler. Extend some guys. You're going to have to pay Max Crosby a hefty contract this year. He's got no more guaranteed. Get rid of Gardner Minshew post-June 1st cut. Move JPJ to center. Sign 4 free agents on the offensive guard like a Trey Smith, Javon Holland, Byron Murphy. Give me a Justin Fields. Trade a player away like Andre James. Get more draft capital. And then you go best player available. Get another Brock Bowers or trade up for a quarterback like a Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. If you do those things, you're going to fix the Raiders in 2025.